The Evolution of Music Review. There are 6 periods of music: medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, and contemporary. One good way to try to remember this order would be to use an acronym such as Mr. BCRC, Mr. BCRC, which looks something like this: medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, contemporary. Mr. BCRC. The medieval period was from the year 500 to approximately 1400. We're going to come up with just 3 facts about each period. So for medieval, number 1, both sacred and secular music were popular during this period. Number 2, the instruments used were the strings, winds, and percussion. When I say strings, we're just talking about guitars, harps, etc. Wind instruments are things like a flute or anything that you blow air into. And the percussion would be anything that you hit with a stick or possibly your hands, such as a drum. Number 3, the Gregorian chant was very popular. And as you remember, we discussed the Gregorian chant. It was used to accompany the Mass, and it was normally a Latin text, sung a cappella, which means without instruments, and was unison, everyone singing on one note. Moving on to the Renaissance period, from 1400 to 1600. The first thing we want to know is that the word Renaissance means rebirth, and you saw this rebirth happening in music. The authority and influence of the church became less powerful, so secular music, which is non-sacred music, was on the rise. And lastly, brass instruments, such as trumpets, were added to the existing medieval instruments. Baroque music was from 1600 to 1750. This is the time when the opera was, quote-unquote, invented. Although it had been known in Renaissance period, it became a common work of art during the Baroque period and very, very popular. The 2 of the main instruments were the harpsichord and the pipe organ. Now, as we said, the harpsichord is strings that are actually plucked, so it has a very twangy sound. The pipe organ, when you hit a key or play a key, air blows through the pipes to make the sound of the note. The top composer during this Baroque period, or one of the top composers, is Johann Sebastian Bach. He composed over 1,000 pieces of music, which are still very popular today. The classical period of music is from 1750 to approximately 1820. First of all, music during the classical period was lighter and less complex. The composers were no longer using the heavy ornamentation of the Baroque period. Instead, they chose to focus on simple melodies that one could hum along to. The pianoforte was introduced. That would be what we now call the piano. And the 2 top composers of this period were Mozart and Beethoven. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was composing by the age of 6. Unfortunately, he died at the very young age of 35. Ludwig van Beethoven had a horrible childhood, and he began losing his hearing at a young age. He was totally deaf when he composed his 9th symphony. The Romantic period of music, from 1820 to 1900. Romantic music focused on expressing emotion and passion. It often told a story of events, places, or celebrations of nature. This period of music had huge dynamic contrasts from very, very soft to very, very loud and everything in between. The piano was the most popular instrument of the Romantic period. And our last period is the contemporary period of music, from approximately 1900 to present day. It has also been called the modern era, or the 20th to 21st century period of music. This period of music was considered the age of musical diversity. Composers experimented with the musical forms and the instruments of the past. With all the experimentation and exploration going on, there was no dominant musical genre or style. American popular music took off during this period and continues to give us new genres to this day. I hope you have enjoyed studying the 6 periods of music. I also hope you can remember their names and what order they fell into. Just remember Mr. BC, RC, Medieval Renaissance, Baroque, Classical, Romantic, Contemporary. Stop and listen. Enjoy new genres. There's music all around us.